Namaste and welcome to my Navaratri Golu. I'm so excited to take you on a virtual tour of my display this year. As always, my Golu is a visual tribute to the sacred Lalita Sahasranamam, a hymn that is very dear to me. The centerpiece of my Golu this year is a depiction of the Divine Mother based on the 63rd name in the Sahasranamam, Sachamara, Rama, Vani, Savya, Dakshina, Sevita. This is how Goddess Lalita is traditionally depicted, seated in her signature pose, the Lalitasana, with one leg folded and the other resting on the floor. The literal meaning of this name is she who is served on her left and right by Lakshmi and Saraswati, holding the Sachamara or a fan. It symbolizes that even Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, and Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, serve her, affirming her ultimate sovereignty over all creation. But this image holds an even deeper, more profound significance, as it also beautifully illustrates several other names from the Lalita Sahasranamam, including Pancha Brahmasanastita, seated on the 5 Brahmas, Pancha Pretasanasina, seated on the 5 corpses, Pancha Preta Manchadi Shayini, lying on a couch of 5 corpses. As you can see, Lalita is seated upon a reclining form of Lord Shiva, and near her feet there are 4 other gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra and Ishvara. These 5 gods represent the 5 primary functions of creation, preservation, destruction, Tirodhana and Anugraha. Lalita is the animating force that makes these functions possible. Without her, they are simply inert, like corpses or pretas. She is the power that animates all of creation, and it is because of her that all these cosmic functions take place. If you would like to know more about these profound names, I have described Pancha Brahmasanastita in detail in my Lalita Sahasranamam Explained series. You can find the link in the description below. As we move from our centerpiece, we enter the first of 4 sections, each dedicated to a specific aspect of the goddess as described in the Lalita Sahasranamam. Our first stop is titled Shaktisena, her vast army of Shaktis. The Lalita Sahasranamam begins with a breathtaking description of Lalita Devi's army, a unique army because it is comprised entirely of powerful female warriors. The name of this section itself is inspired by the 65th name in the Sahasranamam, Shaktisena Samanvita, meaning she who is endowed with an army of Shaktis. This divine army is described with various epithets throughout the hymn. It is a Brihat Sena, a vast, immense army. It is Jayat Sena, an army accustomed only to victory, one that has never known defeat. And it is a perfectly organized force described as having 4 divisions, elephants, horses, chariots and foot soldiers, making her Chaturanga Baleshwari, the mistress of a 4-fold army. In this section, I have carefully placed all these goddesses and warriors who form part of her invincible legion. Let me introduce you to some key commanders. Here we have Sampat-kari, the powerful goddess who commands the army of elephants, beautifully represented by the name Sampat-kari Samarudha Sindura Vrajasevita. Next is Ashva Rudha, the commander of the cavalry, described as Ashva Rudha Dishtitashva Koti Koti Biravrita, surrounded by millions and millions of horses. At the very center of her forces, you see Goddess Lalita herself, majestically seated on her Chakraraja Ratha, the king of chariots, fully adorned with all weapons as described by Chakraraja Ratharuda Sarvayuda Parishkrita. In the front, leading the charge is Mantrini, the goddess of counsel, as in Geya Chakra Ratharuda Mantrini Parisevita. Besides her is Dandanatha, the goddess who commands her army with absolute authority, seen as Kirichakra Ratharuda Dandanatha Puraskruta. We also see goddess Bala, the 9-year-old fierce warrior who brings joy by destroying the sons of Bandasura, as described in Bandaputra Vadodyukta Bala Vikramanandita. And here is Jwala Malini, the goddess at the heart of a fortress of fire, represented by Jwala Malini Kakshipta Bhakniprakara Madhyaga. The power of her army is truly divine. It is said that Ganesha appears when she creates him by a mere glance at the face of Shiva, captured by the name Kameshwara Mukhaloka Kalpita Shri Ganeshwara. And astonishingly, she brings forth all 10 avatars of Vishnu from her very fingernails, as we learn from the name Karanguli Nakotpanna Narayana Dashakritihi. No wonder her army is described as Jayat Sena, the undefeated army. This section perfectly illustrates that the Divine Mother's army is an organized, all-encompassing force that protects the universe and every one of her devotees. The next section is a visual representation of the name SarvaShaktimayi, which translates to the personification of all Shaktis. This title is inspired by the 199th name in the Lalita Sahasranamam, and it reminds us that the goddess is the source and embodiment of all the powers in the universe. In this display, I have arranged various forms of the goddess to represent her different energies and manifestations. Here are the 7 goddesses of Kundalini who reside in our chakras. On the top of the Kundalini display, we have Yakinishwari, the goddess of the Sahasrara chakra. As the hymn says, she is Sahasra Dalapadmasta Sarvavarnopa Shobhita, residing in the 1,000-petal lotus. Yakini is described as shining in all hues and wielding all weapons, symbolizing the ultimate, all-encompassing power of the awakened Kundalini. Moving down, we have Hakinishwari, the goddess who resides in the Agnya Chakra, as described by Agnya Chakrabja Nilaya Shuklavarna Shadanana. Hakini is depicted with 6 faces and is white in color, representing pure consciousness. Next is Dakinishwari, the goddess of Vishuddhi Chakra. She is described by Vishuddhi Chakra Nilaya Raktavarna Trilochana and is said to be red in color with 3 eyes and 1 face. She wields Katvanga, symbolizing her power to destroy ignorance. Then we have Rakinishwari, who resides in the Anahata Chakra. The hymn describes her as Anahatabja Nilaya Shamaba Vadanadvaya. She has a dark complexion similar to Lord Krishna and 2 faces symbolizing the balance of opposites. Next is Lakinishwari, the goddess of Manipura Chakra. She is described by Manipurabja Nilaya Vadanatraya Samyuta, having 3 faces that symbolizes the balance of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. She is also depicted wielding a thunderbolt representing her immense power. Then we come to Kakinishwari, who resides in Swadhisthana Chakra. The hymn describes her as Swadhishthanam Bhujagata Chaturvaktra Manohara, having 4 beautiful faces that symbolize the 4 aspects of consciousness. Finally, at the base is Sakinishwari, the goddess of Mooladhara Chakra. She is described as Mooladharam Bhujaruda Panchavaktrasti Samstita, as having 5 faces and is traditionally depicted wielding the Ankusha or goad. She represents the Kundalini Shakti at the very root of our being. For a more detailed description of goddesses of Kundalini, you can find a link to the video of my previous year's Golu in the description below. Now let us move to the other Shaktis in this section. These three goddesses are Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, the power of will, knowledge, and action. To achieve anything in life, we need these three fundamental powers: the power of will, the power of knowledge, and the power of action. In the Lalita Sahasranamam, the goddess is revered as the source of these three, and she is described by many names that embody them. Tripura, Trimurti, Srimad Tripura Sundari, Maha Tripura Sundari, Tripurambika, Trishta. All these names tell us that all our desires, our ability to know, and our capacity to act all arise from her. Here we see the goddess as the primordial cause or Moola Prakriti. She is the Mahakali, also known as Chandika, who has a terrible and necessary wrath to destroy evil. Here she is ultimate Adi Shakti or Parashakti, the supreme foundational power of the universe. Here we see her as Veda Janani, the mother of Vedas, and Shruti, the personification of the Vedas themselves. She is also Shastramayi, the embodiment of all sacred scriptures, and Bhasha Rupa, the very personification of language itself. She is the mother of all sacred knowledge. Here she is the great mother as described by the names Shri Mata, Ambika, Janani, Shrishtikartri, Prasavitri. In her role as the creator, sustainer, and destroyer, she is Shrishtikartri Brahmarupa, the creator in the form of Brahma. She is Goptri Govinda Rupini, the sustainer in the form of Vishnu, and she is Samharani Rudra Rupa, the destroyer in the form of Rudra. As we move along, you can see some of her most celebrated forms. Here we have Kamakshi, the goddess of Kanchi. Besides her is Padmasana, the goddess seated in her characteristic lotus pose. At the back, we have Varahi, the power of Varaha, and Gayatri, the goddess who presides over the Gayatri mantra and is the mother of the Vedas. And here is Srimad Simhasaneshwari, the goddess seated majestically on her lion Vahanam. And why do we have this Nandi here? He represents Nandi Vidya. Nandi Vidya is the name of a mantra created by Nandi, and the goddess is the presiding deity of this Vidya, showing how she permeates all sacred knowledge. And here we have Durga, also known as Vaishnavi, wielding the weapons of her brother Vishnu, the conch and chakra. In front is her form as Vagadishwari, the goddess of speech, another name for goddess Saraswati. And finally, her form as goddess Lakshmi, also known as Rama. This display shows us that all these different forms and powers flow from one single divine source. She is SarvaShaktimayi, the one great mother who is the embodiment of every Shakti in the universe. And now we move to the third and perhaps the most beautiful section of my Golu, titled Sadashiva Pativrata, which is also the 709th name in the Lalita Sahasranamam. This display is a visual testament to the unshakable love of the divine couple, Shiva and Shakti. Throughout the Sahasranamam, there are so many names that describe their perfect union, and in this display, I have tried to capture a slice of that eternal love. Let us begin with this first image here. It depicts the great sorrow of Lord Shiva as he carries the body of Sati after she has set herself on fire. Sati, unable to bear the insult to her husband by her father Daksha, sacrificed herself. Hence, she is known as Dakshayani, the daughter of Daksha, and Shiva, in his immense rage and grief, destroys Daksha's yajna, making her Daksha Yajna Vinashini. From here, we move to a profound visual of Shiva in the form of Dakshina Murti. This form is said to have been taken by Shiva after Sati's death, as he sat alone without his wife, waiting for Parvati to return. Sri Dakshina Murti is a Kevala Murti, meaning he is never accompanied by a consort. But Shiva can never truly be separated from Shakti. To indicate this, Dakshinamurti is represented with a pair of mismatched earrings. On his right ear, he wears a long earring called Makara Kundala, a symbol of the masculine principle, and on his left ear, he wears a round earring called Tarakanka, which represents the feminine principle. This shows us that Shakti is never away from Shiva in spirit. Their forms are one. That is why she is Dakshina Murti Rupini, meaning that even his form as Dakshina Murti is her form. Hence, she is also known as Guru Murti. This inseparable nature of Shiva and Shakti is depicted dramatically in her Ardhanarishwari form. This form is a visual expression of 5 names in the Lalita Sahasranamam. Shri Kantarda Sharirini and Kantarda Vigraha, which both mean she is one half of Shiva. It also includes Shiva Murtihi, meaning her form is Shiva himself, and Shiva Shaktyaika Rupini, meaning she is the union of Shiva and Shakti into one form. It also represents the name Suvasini, she who is ever conjoined with her spouse. This image of Shiva resting his head on Parvati's lap is from a temple called Surittapalli near Chennai. It is believed that Shiva felt faint after consuming the deadly poison halahalam, so he rested on Parvati's lap. This image wonderfully captures many beautiful names from the Lalita Sahasranamam which talk about her devotion or Pativratyam. She is Kameshwara Prananadi, the very life of Kameshwara. She is Maha Kamesha Nayana Kumudahlada Kaumudi, the moonlight that gladdens the water lilies that are Kameshwara's eyes. She is Swadhina Vallabha, she who has won over her husband, and Maha Kamesha Mahishi, the great queen of her consort Maheshwara. She is Sadhvi, the personification of chastity. Shivapara Ramanalampata, both of which mean she who is solely devoted to her spouse. All of this culminates in her being Sadashiva Pativrata, the devoted wife of Sadashiva. This display over here captures her form as the mother of her 2 sons, Kumara and Ganesha. Here you can see her as Kumara Gananathamba, Guhamba, Guhajanmabhu and Ganamba, all names that describe her as the divine mother to her children. Here we have a powerful image that depicts the name Maheshwara Mahakalpa Mahatandava Sakshini, which means she who is the witness to the great cosmic dance of Shiva. While the entire cosmos dissolves in his fiery dance, she remains untouched and unaffected witness to this dance, a testament to her transcendent nature. Hence, she is the only one who enchants Shiva, making her Shambhu Mohini. This image depicts the name Padmanabha Sahodari. She is the sister of Mahavishnu who performed her Kanyadanam to Shiva. And here she is as Maha Kailasha Nilaya, residing in Shiva's home, Kailasha. This display holds a special place in my Golu this year as I just completed my Kailash Yatra. She is such an integral part of Shiva that for every form he takes, she has a corresponding name as his wife. When he is Shambhu, she is Shambhavi, the wife of Shambhu. When he is Sharva, she is Sharvani. When he is Bhairava, she is Bhairavi. Similarly, she is Bhavani, Maheshi, Kapardini, and so on. And that is why she is Kulangana, the ultimate family woman. This display shows us that the Divine Mother, who is the source of all energy, also embodies the highest form of devotion. Her love for Shiva is the sacred bond that holds the entire universe together. Finally, we come to the last section of my Golu titled Bhakti Priya, which means she who delights in devotion. Given her immense power and omniscience, the goddess is worshipped universally, and the Sahasranamam gives us a glimpse into the diverse kinds of people who worship her. She is worshipped by the greatest divine beings, such as Goddess Saraswati, making her Sharada Radhya. She is also Mahabhairava Pujita and Marthanda Bhairava Radhya, indicating that she is worshipped even by Bhairava. She is Tapasa Radhya, worshipped by ascetics and sages. And she is Devarshi Ganasanghata Stuyamanatma Vaibhava, meaning her glory is praised by Devas and Rishis. At the same time, the goddess is accessible to everyone. She is worshipped by emperors, Rajarajarchita, by the wise, Buddharchita, and by the cultured, Shishta Pujita. Yet she is also Abala Gopa Vidita, known to children and uneducated people. This beautiful name shows us that the goddess's grace is not restricted by status or knowledge. It is accessible to everyone. Finally, we come to my favorite name in this entire section, Lopa Mudrarchita. You see, Lopa Mudra is the wife of the great sage Agastya. She is such a great devotee of Lalita that she is called out separately as a worshipper alongside great names like Saraswati and Bhairava. In a truly beautiful detail, when Agastya asks Hayagriva Swami to teach him the hymn, he is addressed as the husband of Lopa Mudra, as though subtly indicating that he deserves to learn this hymn because he is the husband of this great lady. To me, the name Lopa Mudrarchita represents the immense power of devotion to elevate a person. It is a powerful example for all of us, the humble devotees of the goddess, of where bhakti can take us. This concludes the virtual tour of my Golu. I hope you found it to be a meaningful journey into the names of the Divine Mother. A very happy Navaratri to all of you. May the grace of the goddess Lalita Tripura Sundari fill your home with abundance this season. Om Shri Matre Namaha. Namaste.